June is starting to look like an extremely packed month when it comes to gaming news. We not only have the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase that's right around the corner, but we also have Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest that's coming up with a bunch of new AAA games. And wouldn't you know, there's also a leaked event that just happened with Sony's PlayStation. Could we possibly see God of War Ragnarok's release date, new Spider-Man footage, or will we have to wait later this year for an even bigger event from Sony's PlayStation? Let's get into what's being said from multiple journalists and also talk about what could potentially be at this new event, because the competition is kicking off big time between Xbox and Sony this generation, and I think this summer is going to be a heavyweight bout between the two. Alright, so you know the drill. If you like the content, hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you want to be notified on future content, hit that small little bell icon. And if you want to go that extra mile to support the channel, hit that join button. Alright, so we all know that Sony's been very quiet when it comes to news and announcements. They rode this spring hoping that Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo would push their console sales to new heights. Instead, they got completely overshadowed by one of the best games ever made in Elden Ring, which I have to admit took over the spring and pretty much gaming news for at least a month and a half. Yet that doesn't mean they didn't have a lot of games to announce at their potential event this summer. And that's exactly what's being rumored right now. There could potentially be a State of Play or an even bigger E3-like event planned for Sony in early June. To be more specific, the first 2 weeks of June, when around that Summer Game Fest is going to start and when Xbox is going to have their E3-like event. Let's just get into what is being reported and leaked. Not E3 season is upon us, and June is beginning to fill up with big gaming showcases and events, including the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase, PC Gaming Show, and more. However, VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb has now stated that he's heard Sony is planning to host its own PlayStation event as well in early June. Speaking on his latest podcast, Spotted by Reddit, Grubb claimed to have heard from multiple people that Sony is gearing up to host a PlayStation event in the first week of June. I'm also hearing from multiple people that Sony will actually have a show the first week of June. I can't confirm that, but I'm hearing from a bunch of different people, but maybe that's just scuttlebutt, said Grubb. Grubb would later add on Twitter that he's also heard that nothing will happen until September also. This is interesting as PlayStation's biggest exclusive of the year, God of War Ragnarok, is expected to launch sometime in 2022, but it currently does not have a concrete release date. Okay, so there's a lot of information to unpack there. The first I want to talk about is the June event. I have a feeling this won't be a big showing like we've seen with Xbox and Bethesda. I have a feeling this will be a State of Play event announcing the release date of God of War Ragnarok, which is slated for later this year. Now, I want to say this because it kind of reminds me of what happened with Horizon Forbidden West last year. If you remember, they had a State of Play that showcased for about 15 minutes of gameplay. That's what God of War needs, because there hasn't been a lot of gameplay shown for the game, and it deserves that. And you know what? The gameplay that they did show in that 2 to 3 minute trailer last year wasn't enough. That's what they need to do. I think they're going to go back into June, talk about God of War Ragnarok, put it up there, show you gameplay, show how big the world is, show you some new mechanics like they did with Horizon Forbidden West, and then stamp a release date on it for holiday season 2022. And I think that can carry momentum into all of summer, because God of War is one of the most anticipated games of the year. Not to mention, they could have this event right before the Xbox and Bethesda event and announce that release date right there. Something that Xbox can't really fight back with because they've delayed Starfield and Redfall into 2023. So if they show off God of War with amazing gameplay and then have a release date for it this holiday season, it can cause a really big shift in momentum going to Sony's way into the summer. And then boom, September comes around and they have that big event, that E3-like event that we are all talking about right here. Because don't get me wrong, I think Sony has a lot of games in the work, and I think they have a lot of surprises for people. In fact, let's go into what could come at this E3-like event that is being leaked. The first game I want to talk about isn't God of War, because I feel like they'll have their own State of Play for that like we just mentioned. They'll start focusing on the games that are at least a year away. And that first game, to me, is Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac Games. I expect to see gameplay, if not a trailer that's 2 to 3 minutes long, with some small gameplay elements integrated into that. Something like they did with God of War last year. They had this trailer come out, talked about it, announced it, and then said, hey, Here's some gameplay that's about 2 minutes, snip that up with some cutscenes, and bam, you have yourself a trailer that can get people excited. And Spider-Man 2 is going to be one of the biggest games coming out no matter what year it is. The first one by Insomniac Games was massive, and I loved it. It's one of my game of the years back in 2018, and I absolutely adored that game. And if you look at Miles Morales that launched with the PS5, it is still considered, and I think it's still the best PS5 selling game at launch. Look it up. I'm pretty sure that Miles Morales has sold extremely well because the Spider-Man franchise and the Marvel franchises are massive. From there, I expect to see Forspoken, a game that's been in development for a little while now, and it's also gotten a lot of delays. Now, the delays are something that suck, but hey, that's just the way the world works. Things get delayed, other things around the world affected this game. So I expect this to be something that they show gameplay for, give a little bit of an announcement, and then get a release date stamped on it so they can say, hey, this is coming out maybe spring next year or late this year during the holiday season after God of War Ragnarok. That would bring two big, pretty awesome games that look amazing to the PlayStation 5 in the holiday season, or looking into spring next year, because Forspoken has been talked about for a very long time, and I want to see what it's all about. I want to see more gameplay, and I'm actually intrigued with it, and I also want to play this on the PC since it is a PlayStation 5 and PC exclusive. After that, I think they should move on to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. It's a PS5 and PC exclusive game. Now, this is something I'm extremely excited for. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I love it. I remember playing it back in the day in the early 2000s, so I expect this one to get a lot of attention. Now, I know there's been rumors that this had a little bit of development trouble, but I hope that's all fixed, and I hope they get that ironed out because I want to see actual gameplay of this. I want to see a release date for this. I think it's years away, but who knows? Maybe Sony announced it and they're going to keep it in their back pocket for a few years before they want to show gameplay of it. Then we have, of course, the next Insomniac game, Wolverine, which again was announced last year, and I expect them to focus on this game a little bit more. Maybe another trailer, but no gameplay. Something like they did with Spider-Man last year. Show us something, show the development, and maybe drop a 2023-2024 release date on it. I don't know. I think Spider-Man is going to come first, and I think that's going to be next year, and I think Wolverine is going to be 2024, because Insomniac are extremely talented. I mean, they brought out the Miles Morales game for the launch of the PS5 in November 2020, and then brought out Rift Apart for Ratchet & Clank for the PS5 in June of last year. So that's two games, pretty big games, coming out from one studio. I expect that they'll be able to handle Spider-Man 2 and use those same assets, and then create Marvel's Wolverine over the next few years and bring it out in 2024, if not later than that. Then we have Naughty Dog's Factions and what that game is all about, the multiplayer-centric Last of Us spinoff. It was supposed to come out with Last of Us 2, but they got postponed and they wanted to make it its own game and its own franchise and have its own release date. I find that Last of Us 2 is a little less of a game because of that, because the first game had the multiplayer and the single player put together, but now you're probably going to charge $70 for this, bring it out, and hey, there's your multiplayer component that Sony's been looking for. Now, I don't agree with that. I want to see this game be something crazy big. If you're going to charge $70 for something like this, I want to see a huge game, a whole standalone game with a lot of mechanics, a big open world, something that can make it stand out outside of the franchise and make it its own game. Naughty Dog is extremely talented. They've been working on this for quite a while, so I want to see what it's all about. And the last one from there, and that's the first party component, is The Last of Us Remake for the next generation consoles. This has been rumored that it will be coming out this holiday season, so it could be a shadow drop. There's plenty of credible sources talking about this, so it's something we should keep an eye on. I'm a little annoyed that they're making another remake or another remaster or whatever they're calling it for this one. I hope it comes out, but at the end of the day, I want to see new IPs, and if it does come out, I'll check it out, but I'll probably wait for it to come to PC. Now, of course, there's rumors that they have a bunch of third-party exclusives lined up, so I wouldn't be surprised if we got something new from that. I'm talking Final Fantasy and maybe a surprise or two that we haven't talked about and that have been rumored for a little while. I don't want to go into that because I don't know them that well, but we'll see if they have any third-party exclusives that they have lined up. Not to mention, I think they're going to talk about PC a lot. They'll probably bring Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West, and a bunch of other games to PC and give those announcements out there to get people hyped because they've made a lot of money from God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Days Gone on PC, so they're going to go to that market. They're going to want to bring out their games for that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start announcing those for the end of this year to kind of pad out some of the lower periods they have in the months of gaming. And those are the games I expect to see, and pretty obvious because they've either been rumored for a while or they were revealed last year. But I also think that Sony, like always, will have surprises for us, especially since they have an advantage this year in the holiday season of 2022, with Xbox not having many first-party games releasing, if at all. Now, of course, Xbox might have some shadow drops and they might lock some stuff down and maybe bring out some surprise games that we didn't see coming, but overall, God of War kind of dominates the end of the year next to Gotham Knights and all the other games like Harry Potter coming out, not to mention Call of Duty. So I think that Sony can have two events. I think they can have a state of play showing off God of War, bringing out that release date, and then they can move on to the bigger E3-like event where they talk about their future. Because next year, there isn't that many games coming out for Sony. I think they need an event to kind of pad that out, talk about it, and show a roadmap of what's coming in the next few years so people get excited for the PlayStation 5. Not to mention, get excited for the PlayStation Plus subscription service, talk about games that maybe will drop in there, maybe get some third-party games day and date in there. I think they have a lot of plans ahead of them. I think they're adjusting right now this generation because of Game Pass and because of Xbox. And like I've said, always, competition is king, and never sleep on Sony when it comes to gaming. PlayStation understands the gaming market better than most people, just like Nintendo. Xbox, comparatively, is very new to the gaming market. I know they've been here for 20 years, but they're still adjusting, they're still changing things, and leading technologies in different ways when it comes to gaming. So this year, this generation, I'm excited to see what both of them are doing, and I always say I want competition, so if Sony has an event, bring it on. If Jeff Keighley has an event, bring it on. And if Xbox has an event, bring it on. Same with Ubisoft and every other publisher out there. Get your games out there, show these events, have competition, and show us why you earned our hard-earned money. But enough of what I think about all this. Tell me what you think. Are you excited for this Sony event? What surprises do you think we could see from third-party publishers? Will we get another first-party surprise from a studio that's been working on something in the background? What other studios are you excited to see from Sony? Do you think God of War Ragnarok is going to release this year in 2022? How can Xbox combat something that releases in 2022 that Sony has lined up for the holiday season? Or do you see Xbox going after third-party deals like Sony's been doing for a little while now and money-hatting some of these deals down the line? Let me know down below. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I've been jumping into a bunch of games. Nothing's really grabbed me like Elden Ring did for a month and a half, where I was just stuck playing that game and I couldn't play anything else. So I've been moving around. I've been playing a lot of Warcraft 3, the remastered, going through the campaign on that, having a great time with that. The gameplay's tight, the story's amazing, the multiplayer sucks in that, but hey, it was great. And I've also been jumping into Riftbreaker on Xbox Game Pass. That game is awesome. It's a nice little RTS, twin-stick shooter RPG. It's really fun. I recommend everybody check that out. And of course, I've been jumping into Warhammer Battle Sector. I've been jumping into Apex Legends, Rocket League, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've just been going all over the place. And I'm also waiting for Sniper Elite 5. I can't wait to play that game. It's coming day and date to Game Pass for PC and Xbox. So somebody jump on that and have fun with that. And I'm thinking about jumping into God of War on the PC a little bit later. I know that sounds weird. I've beaten the game already, but I want to see it at full 4K, 60 FPS, if not higher, probably at 100 FPS with my 3090, and continue to play one of the best games I've ever played in God of War, and then get prepared for God of War Ragnarok, which is rumored to come out later this year. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on your Xbox Series X, your PC, or are you on your PS5 playing something? Let me know down below, because I'm genuinely curious of what everyone's playing. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.